to see you this afternoon, or this morning, or wherever you are in the world. It's really nice that you are joining us for this session. My name is Petra Moltan-Hill, and I'm professor at Nottingham Business School, Nottingham, UK. And I hand over to my co-presenters. Alex, if you would like to go next.
Alex, you're on mute.
Sorry. Hey, everyone. My name is Dr. Alex Hope. I'm currently Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor for the School of Business and Law at Newcastle Business School, Northumberland University. I'm also co-chair of the UN Prime Working Group on Climate Change and the Environment, and I also sit on the steering committee of the UK chapter for UN Prime as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rachel Welton. I'm the Deputy Chair for the Climate Change and Environment Working Group. I work at Nottingham Trent University within the Business School, and I'm the Assistant Head of Undergraduate Studies. And like Alex, I also work with the UK chapter, Prime chapter in the UK and Ireland.
Okay, and then I would like to introduce Dr. Mohamed Mazar. Yeah, so I think then I would like to give you a bit of an overview what we are going to present today. The main focus is really to make you aware, if you're not already aware, of that actually the business schools can do a lot of things around climate change mitigation. And this is really crucial that we all do our bit around climate change mitigation. And this can be done everywhere in the business school. It can be done in every discipline, whether it's accounting, operations, HR. It needs to be integrated really into everything. And I will talk in a moment a little bit more about climate change science education, which is what a lot of people think when they hear about education of climate change, they think about the science. But I will explain to you a bit more about the mitigation, what it means in a business school context. And this will be one of the focus for me in this presentation. But we will have more to cover today. And Rachel will go on.
So I'm just going to introduce you to the structure that we're going to use today, just to give you an insight into how things will unfold. So first of all, we're going to have Petra, who'll give us an overview of the climate change education within business schools in the broader context, and very much looking at the work that she's involved with in the broader context, and how we utilise that within the working group on climate change and the environment. And then Alex will follow through with a section about recent publications, a survey that we want you to get involved with for us, and future research opportunities. And then Petra will also then cover Mohammed's section on the carbon management and some interesting updates and successes, and encourage you to get involved in that. And then I will give you some updates about how you can engage with the working group on climate change and the environment. So thank you.
Okay, so in way of a little bit of background to the chapter, we've been around since 2015, when we were originally configured at the Global Forum in New York, back in the days where we could actually meet face-to-face. And the idea really was to focus in specifically on SDG 13, on climate action. But of course, because the SDGs are all integrated, we do touch on other SDGs upon our work as well, but our main focus really is on climate change and climate action. The original aim of the working group was not just to work within business schools and within management schools, but also to go beyond that and claim to act as a resource for organizations in general and help businesses in general embed climate change and environmental education into their teaching and training too. So we're looking at education from a broad brush. And it really comes around one of the targets for SDG 13, which is to ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development and climate change mitigation and adaptation. We started off with a handful of members in 2015, and we did a bit of work and managed to raise that to around about 30 members from 14 different countries in 2018. Since then, we've had a real push and a real good recruitment drive, if you like. And currently, as of a few days ago, we had 270 members from over 100 higher education institutions across 33 countries. So we truly are a global chapter working group, and we really are trying to make sure that we reach out into all areas of the world and every continent. One of the ways you can get involved, we'll talk a bit more about that later, but a good way to get involved is just to go and visit our website, which you can find at UN PRME climate.org. And there is a form on there which you can sign up and become part and join those 270 other colleagues around the world and really become part of the chapter and benefit in what we do and help us in our quest to kind of work towards SDG 13.
Okay, and so to give you a bit of a background, this is something we are using in our carbon literacy training. And some of you might have experienced it if you have taken our carbon literacy training. If you haven't seen it, you might really want to look at even after the session here. It's called En-ROADS, and it was designed by MIT Sloan together with Climate Interactive. And what you can see on the slides is really where we are heading at the moment. So this is when we are not doing anything, as if we would just keep business as usual at the moment. We are actually on target to 3.6 degrees towards the end of the century in 2100. And you can see that it's kind of going slowly but surely in this direction, and we will be crossing the 1.52 degrees around 2040. So it is very soon that we will do this. But you can also see on these slides all the high impact solutions. And if you actually go to the website, if you go to En-ROADS, you can actually start to decide, okay, let's implement one of these high impact solutions. Let's actually see what happens if you put the carbon price on everything. Let's see if we address food waste in the methane option, which you can see on the right. Let's see what would happen if we actually do anything with our transport system. So you can actually try these different options, these different high impact solution, and you will see how it will actually change the temperature. And when we do the training, we always kind of make it as a bit of a of a game, kind of, that everyone is trying to get it down to 1.5 degrees and to have a guess what would be the major things that will drive the thing and to go down again. So you might want to give us an idea in the chat now. You might want to actually give us your opinion on this, but obviously we are not doing it because we want to now this game. But please do join us in the carbon literacy training if you want to try it out, or go to it after the session yourself and see how you can actually put these solutions together to achieve what is required worldwide. And this data is all based on the real data. So it's very easy for you to access. You don't have to put the mathematical formula in, which are in the background. But if you want to really have a sophisticated kind of approach, there's a 400 pages guide. And you can also do a training with MIT where you can actually learn about these things. They have an 8-hour training on it if you want to really go deeper into the material around this tool. Yeah, but I think, as I say, we are covering it in our carbon literacy training, and this is my next slide. So I want to really invite you to join our carbon literacy training if you have not done so. Because I think in the carbon literacy training, which is 8 hours, we will really cover some of the major high impact solutions. And we will also kind of explain to you why these are really high impact solutions, how you can integrate them into your work, into your teaching, into your research, and so on. And we have a lot of peer-to-peer session. Actually we have it's 4 times 2 hours, and every time in the second hour we have peer-to-peer learning, because people are breaking out into rooms, and everything you might already know about it you can also share with colleagues there. So we are always learning a lot from everyone who's joining the carbon literacy training. But it would be great if you would join us, and the next one is actually starting on the 2nd of July. And you can sign up through UN Prime. Please do send, or you can go on the website on the event calendar from UN Prime. You will see it on the 2nd of July. You will find the links there and you can sign up for it. It would be great if you would join us. We had over 400 academics so far taking the carbon literacy training. And originally we developed it together with the UN Prime champions and also with Oikos International. So you might know Oikos International, which is a student organization, which is actually trying to integrate sustainability in everything, and in the responsible management education, all the different subjects as well. And we are working with a carbon literacy project in Manchester, and they are actually giving you a certificate. So if you're keen to get a certificate, you can fill in an assessment form after the 8-hour training, and you can get the certificate, which also when you actually pass, obviously you can't just write anything, you have to write the right answers there, but it's really up to you to find out how can we get out of this situation, and how can we manage to actually get to 1.5 degrees or even lower in a few years' time. And this is really what you have to show in the assessment, and which you hopefully will have learned when you have done the 8-hour training. Okay, so please do join us, but I want to talk a little bit more now about the wider background as well. The carbon literacy training is really equipping you for a good understanding of high impact climate solution in relation to the science, a bit about climate justice. So every topic a little bit, but I think what we need to do in the business schools is really to integrate climate change education on a much bigger scale. And it's really important to distinguish between 3 areas of climate change education. One is a climate change science education. Then I have 2 more slides where I explain to you climate change mitigation education and climate change adaptation education, because a lot of people always mix them all together. And climate change science is really what has been taught a lot in the past, and people are much aware of these things. So if you often, when you talk to students coming from secondary education, they will have learned a lot around climate change science, but not so much around climate change mitigation. And there was a very interesting study undertaken by Yale a few years ago, where they actually asked MBAs from leading business schools around the world, so how well do you know climate change science, and how much do you know climate change mitigation? And a lot of the MBA students said, actually, we know quite well what is happening there, what the climate change, what the issues are, but we have not many ideas how business can address it. And it doesn't seem to be covered in the MBAs. So there's nothing on climate change mitigation. So what can business actually do to address these things? And I think it's really important for any business school student to have this climate change science. Otherwise, you can't make sense out of the graphs and everything if you don't understand the basic science. In our carbon literacy training, for example, we have 1 hour on the key aspects of climate change science, because it's important to understand the science, to understand the high impact solutions. And to give you only one example, but we always ask people, if I would ask you now, do you all know what a carbon sink is? And can you explain all the high impact solutions we have regarding carbon sinks in the world, in all the different countries, which are quite different in different countries? Would you be able to make us a list in the chat? Maybe I can give you this challenge now. So if you put all the answers in the chat, which you know about carbon sink and how we can integrate it into management education, would be fantastic. And we might spot a few things we don't know. Please do put them in the chat now. But otherwise, I think a lot of people don't know, as when we ask people, like the academics in our carbon literacy training, we have normally, I think, between 20 to 50% who actually choose the option, I have no clue what you're talking about when I mention carbon sink. So people are not so aware of it. And therefore, I think it's really important that people understand this concept as well. So therefore, climate change science education is important, should be taught in the business school. But the next one, climate change mitigation education, is actually even more important. And this is where you really come to what can you do to actually reduce the carbon emissions. So what can you teach in accounting to actually make sure you account for what is done, and how can you reduce the consumption? So how can you do carbon accounting, for example? It means in operation, how can you actually do your operation that actually you use the least energy, but you do all the other things as well. So it's not only about reducing the energy consumption, it's much more than this. If you think like in the chain, for example, how can you engage your suppliers to go into things like agriculture? For example, you have to engage, if you're in the food retail or in the food sector, you will have you need to know a lot about agriculture and actually how you can increase the soil, for example, as a carbon sink, and how you might ask your suppliers to actually increase the soil as a carbon sink. And there are technologies there where you can actually improve the soil from being a carbon sink of only 5%, also it's only taking in carbon of 5%, and you can bring it back to a level of 45% in some examples. So these are really important things that when you're running it in a business, but also in a business school, obviously, that you understand all these different aspects, and it has to go into everything. It's really corporate strategy, accounting, as I already mentioned, economics, supply chain, any topic you are teaching in the business school. And obviously we need a lot of research because some things are not so well understood yet, especially how you make the change process in all the companies, how you do the transformation for the whole sector and the whole economy, which is necessary now. Yeah, and then we have the third area, which is also no, actually, but I wanted to also, obviously, when you understand climate change mitigation, you will understand how to evaluate books. Like recently, Bill Gates did publish a book on how to avoid a climate disaster, and he has certain solutions he is proposing. And if you have a really good understanding of climate change mitigation, you will know how to evaluate what he is suggesting, whether it makes sense or whether it doesn't make sense. So this I think is really also important. And then another person who has just recently published a book is Mark Carney. And obviously he's talking what it means for the investment sector and how you actually kind of can deal with stranded assets and so on. So it's really kind of going more into this aspect. And again, I think you need the background of climate change science education, climate change mitigation education to understand these things and say, okay, yeah, it makes sense and this is a good solution to be integrated. Yeah, and then we have the climate change adaptation education. Obviously, this is especially important in countries where already a lot of problems are happening, where you have to understand how to adapt to the existing climate change. So this will be very, very important, but obviously also countries who don't have, who are actually not so vulnerable with regards to climate change, like the US or the UK, for example, but still have problems already also with climate change, needs to obviously also do the climate change adaptation. But for me, it's always a question whether these countries, also my own country, Germany, UK, and so on, if we should not actually focus on climate change mitigation and put all our money there so that actually in 10 years time, we don't have to do so much adaptation worldwide, because otherwise we have to do loads of adaptation if we don't focus on the mitigation now. Yeah, but this is also an important area which needs to be integrated into the business schools. And then in a wider context, obviously, we also talk when we send in our prime reports and so on, we often talk that also operations. So everything needs to underline what we are doing. So we have actually from NTU, from Nottingham Trent University in the UK, we have a carbon literacy training, which is for the wider university. So this does include the business school, but it includes also everyone in operation. It includes people who are working in procurement of a university. It includes people who are looking after the estate in a university. It looks at people who are doing catering and how to deal with food waste, for example, in catering. It includes everyone really in working in a university, and it includes every academic working in a university, every student, and obviously also our communities when we engage with our business partners and so on. So this training is really for everyone.
Okay, thanks, Petra. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the additional work that we do, publications and research. So of course we do a lot of work, as Petra has pointed out, with training and developing educators and training and developing students, and also practitioners in climate change, climate literacy and carbon literacy and other climate change topics. But we're also working on research parallel to that and getting that published as much as we can in some of the mainstream journals. We have a chapter which is in the recently published Sage Handbook of Responsible Management, Learning and Education, where we've really talked about how where climate change can be embedded throughout management education as a way of helping to future leaders and students to become more responsible from that perspective. Myself and Petra with colleagues have a publication out a couple of years ago in IJME, which again looked at some student initiatives and how the small things that you do quite often at a local level with your students and local businesses can actually have a very large effect on the world. Just, you know, if we all scale up and we all do these kind of things, we can really make a big influence. There's a couple of other papers there. These are just some selected papers. There's a paper there that Petra has in sustainability, and another one, recent one a couple of years ago in the Journal of Cleaner Production. There's a lot of other work we are ongoing, and one of the things we're quite keen to do is to work with other academics who are working in this field, in this area, to really collaborate and work together to publish as much research on the areas of climate change and management education and management in general, if we can, because we really feel that over the years there's not been enough focus in our discipline in these areas. So please join us on that. Other work we do, of course, is we go around various different places, promoting the work that we do here and promoting the carbon literacy work that we do. And this is just a link here to one such event that we did earlier this year for Universities UK, which is the umbrella group in the UK, which encompasses every single higher education institution, and a lot of high profile vice chancellors and leaders of universities there, as well as lots of people from government. And here we did a presentation on how to set up carbon literacy training in your own business school, and how you can really develop your own colleagues and students. And the idea really that we have here is that we're developing a train-the-trainer kind of process, so we can teach you how to then go forward and teach your students and teach your staff and teach the other stakeholders you work with, and we can really kind of snowball this out and get many more people involved. This webinar is available for you to watch. You can go to the YouTube URL on here. We'll put it in the chat as well, so you can just click to the link, and it's also on our website, of course, at unprmeclimate.org. And finally, from me, we have, I just want to talk a little bit about our climate change education survey. And this is a large piece of work that we've been doing over a number of years now, where we've been looking to really kind of understand the state of the art in climate change education worldwide. We really had a feeling that we didn't really know who was doing what, where is it being taught, how, what level, who to, and we really thought it'd be a good way to get an understanding of what's being done now and identify some good practice. So we initially launched a survey back in 2018 at one of the RME research conferences, and we piloted there for a little bit, and now we have a full survey out there with a data set which is growing. We have around 250 responses to date, worldwide, across many different business schools and many different kinds of academics. And what we seem to be finding is that the vast majority of academics believe that climate change is a legitimate topic to be taught in business schools, which is contrary to some of the previous literature which was suggesting it was more something that should be confined to geography or maybe physical science kind of curricula, and the business school didn't really have a place for that. But this seems to be the case now, that this is something that we should be tackling within our core business and management curricula. However, very few, or less than half of those respondents actually do some teaching in this area. They don't teach climate change, or they don't actually have any colleagues who teach climate change in this area. So it's not fully captured in the way that we suggest it perhaps should be, and the way that our respondents suggest it should be. There's lots and lots of reasons for that. Some of them are very well related to any prime educator, where we have lots of evidence through previous studies which shows that sustainability topics back previously really had to fight for space in the curriculum with other topics that educators thought were perhaps competing for space. And so it's hard to find the space to where do you put the climate change in the curriculum. And also lack of staff expertise or lack of academic expertise. The vast majority of business manager educators don't have a grounding in physical climate science, and that's understandable. And so there's a bit of nervousness about, well, how do we go about teaching this if we don't have an academic background or an understanding of it ourselves, which of course is one of the things which the carbon literacy training is there to address. So we would please urge you to click on the link. You get your phone out and click on this QR here. The link will be in the chat as well, and just go. It takes fewer than 15 minutes to fill in that survey, and it will really help us kind of understand this baseline. And the plan is we will be hopefully talking about some of the preliminary findings at the 8th RME conference, which is being held in China, more likely virtually at the moment. And then we're planning to get this written up and aiming for one of the top education journals, something like AMLE, to really kind of get this out to the wider, broader business and management community to understand that this is something that we do need to build on, do need to build towards. So please do go forward and help us out with that. Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe to add just to our survey as well. We are asking you also for a question there, in a question there, whether you are teaching this area, and if you do teach this area, and if you have really good tools, you are integrating really good research to share. We are also hoping if we get enough people to publish something else where we would really love if you then would be included as an author, because we would really like to publish the best practice. So if we do find people who really do good stuff in this area, it would we want to do another publication, which we haven't decided yet because we don't know what's coming yet. So far we didn't have too many really examples. So we hope if you bring us loads of great examples, we could maybe make a book or something else out of it, which would be great. So please do put these things in as well, so that we know about them and that we can promote it, and that we maybe can promote also here in our working group and so on, and get in contact with these things, which would be fantastic.
Yes, thank you, Petra.
Yeah, and then I'm actually now representing Mohamed's area, because Mohamed has asked me to do so. Dr. Mohamed Mazar is actually looking after the policies and strategies subgroup in our working group. And here's the focus is really how we can, on a strategic level in a business school or in a university, integrate the policies, the strategies to address carbon and all the other greenhouse gases. So how could we have, for example, a carbon management, or also how we could have a environmental management and so on. So Mohamed is his own background is actually that he's an engineer, but also he has done his PhD on carbon management. So he brings a lot of expertise to this area, but he's also sourcing best practice from across the world to share with other people. So when you go to the website, he shares a lot of different ideas from different universities, how you can actually set up all these policies and strategies. And this could help you. And he's coordinating these things. So for example, if you have really good ideas, you would like to actually showcase your own policy, your own strategy, please do contact Mohamed, and we will have his contact details. We have it in the chat, and he's also there to kind of talk to you about this. But please do get in contact with Mohamed, so that because we would like to coordinate, and he would like to coordinate all these different activities which are going on in this area. So when you look into it, we have a repository. So you will find actually templates for different areas. So this we thought that this would be actually useful for people who say, yes, we really want to do a carbon policy, but how do I start? Where do I find a good example? What should I do? Should I take one which is done in business, or is there a specific one for business schools or universities? And what we have done there, and what Mohamed has put together, is really examples which are especially applicable to a business school context or university context. So we have templates for a carbon policy for a business school university. We have templates for environmental policy. We have templates for an environmental strategy. And we also have templates there for learning and teaching strategy, including climate change education and the other SDGs. So if you want to look at this from a strategic level in your own business school, in your own university, please do have a look at these templates, and please do share with us if you have really good examples how you have done, and we could put them there as templates if you do agree that you're willing to showcase them to other people. And we would love to also especially have examples from all parts of the world, because there might be different ways of how it's done in different parts of the world. So it would be fantastic if you get more examples, and even if it's also in a different language, please do send it. And so we wouldn't mind putting something in French, in Chinese, or in any other language up there, so for people to use it as well, to take it as an idea and to take it as a template. So please do send us these things and engage with this group if you're interested in this area. Yeah, so going forward, Mohamed is really interested in offering also webinars to bring people together. And for example, if you are interested, especially in designing a policy, a template in a certain area, or look at the strategy, please do contact Mohamed and share your ideas. And obviously, we always would be very keen to have people working on things. So if you're kind of really interested in developing French resources, for example, please do get in contact. And there's a lot of possibilities, and we hope that we also in the future will involve practitioners, so that we can go with the templates beyond the universities and business schools, and can help also practitioners to do that they have templates which they can use, or that they share their best practice with us, and we can actually learn from it as well. So this is a bit of the plan for this subgroup.
So that's a good lead into me. Thanks, Petra. we're quite a small committee of people working on in the working group, and we're keen to involve you in this group and get your ideas and generate some further activity. So if you've got any ideas, please do feed them in. But more importantly, we would like to co-opt you to be part of our working group. And these are just ideas that we've put forward at the moment, but if you have other ideas, then talk to us. We're happy to consider those. So the first one, we thought that it'd be useful to get somebody to do, to help with some secretarial side of newsletters, updates, managing of the membership, because we've got quite a number of people that are keen to be involved, but it's taking that forward to the next stage. We also would like people to be involved more in social media aspects, whether it's writing blogs, connecting different networks, sending regular tweets out, those sorts of things. Those are all things that we feel that we need. And you'll see in a couple of slides, we're putting on, in the past we've had regular events, and we're hoping to have some regular events moving forward, and we've got a draft outline of that we'll share with you in a moment. And really importantly, another area of our work is around the carbon literacy and rolling that out. And as Petra's described that, as Alex has explained, we've got that concept of having the trainer to trainer. And part of the rollout of that is giving support to those that have already had the training to actually link together, provide support, provide ideas, overcome some of the problems that maybe you've had in rolling out some of that training. So please do contact us and get involved. You can contact us on the website, and also do put in the chat now, and we'll pick it up and we'll come back to you after this session. And that then takes us to this next slide, and that's really important. 2 meetings, and they're in the next week for you. And we'd really encourage those of you that are interested in this essential work to actually come to one of those meetings and express your interest, put some ideas in, talk to us about how you could contribute, and also what you can gain from the group. Because what we've often found in the past is that people that become actively involved become part of other projects, whether it's the research projects that Alex has talked about, and opportunities for embedding these really good practices that Petra's talked about, that both she and Mohammed are taking forward. And yeah, it is part, we operate as part of a bigger group. So I think that that's important to take that forward. So this is our draft. It's not set in stone. We're happy to adjust that based on the thoughts that you come through, but this is our sort of, these are our ideas. Before, we found a timeline of bi-monthly meetings where we have a keynote or a focus on a particular subject, where people that are sort of leading in the field can present, and it can be practice-based, research-based, or practitioner initiatives. And the ideas at the moment that we've put down there, we've put the first one of at the beginning of the academic year there, confirming really roles and ideas and providing that reinvigoration into the working group. And then we've looked at that peer-to-peer support, and I'll mention that again on the next slide, to make sure that we're supporting people that have already had the training in rolling it out and managing their own carbon literacy sessions. And then we've put 3 academic themed areas, and we've just identified areas that interest us. So we've put carbon accounting, working with SMEs, and hopefully getting their perspectives in that. And we've put business perspectives and impact, because impact's becoming more and more important for us working in business schools. And obviously we want the impact of the work that we do within this working group to actually have a broader impact for the cause, the important cause. So I think those are all things that we're going to be looking at in the next academic year. So obviously moving through to prior to COP26, we've just got a further plea. We work with many organisations, and as Petra's illustrated to you earlier on, the carbon literacy training was designed with members of the Prime Champions groups. It's iterated with different business schools around the world. It's very much international in its focus. Oikos International were part of that, and we want to utilise those networks to actually provide more people to get involved with it. So it tends to be that we run 3 lots of global carbon literacy accounting throughout the year, and they tend to be that are operated through Prime. So February and March, and to date we've got sort of in this Prime sort of environment about 400, as Petra's mentioned. We've got another set of the 8 hours of training happening and starting in July, and we'd really encourage all of you that have an interest to join us in those sessions. And then there'll be a further one in October, November, so you can sign up, and the information will be sent to you through the Prime Secretariat for that. So one of the things that we're finding at the moment is that we're often training people, and people are becoming very interested and obviously keen to roll out and put the carbon literacy training into their institutions. Sometimes it's not always easy, and sometimes they need a little bit of peer support to actually discuss how you can roll these things out and learn from others. You know, it's experiential learning, I suppose, at the end of the day. So we are keen, we want in Australia to develop a peer-to-peer support system. In France and in Germany, we've got members that are really keen to start. So we'd like to encourage you to join those groups and actually get involved in that peer-to-peer support and encourage others and learn as we take it all forward to help improve our sort of impact in this area.
Yeah, maybe, Rachel, if I can just add something. Also that we have these Australia, Germany, France is a bit of random groups, kind of. It's because people from these countries have contacted us and said they want to really have the peer-to-peer support group. So especially the one in Germany want to have German material, also translate lots of things into German, and for France as well, they want to translate it into French as well. So these are the ones where people have contacted us, and you can join them, and they will be very happy if people would like to join and work with them. But it doesn't mean that these are the only countries we will be working with. So if you're from another country and you would be also very, very keen to start your peer-to-peer support group in your own country, please do contact us as well. No? This was only a selection because they were very active and said, yeah, we want to do it, and came to us. This is why we have these 3 countries at the moment.
Thanks, Petra. And then finally, we've just put here that please do contact us. These are our details. You're obviously familiar, and we've put the website, and you can contact us that way, but you can also contact us directly, and we're really keen to get involved, to get you involved, working with us and helping this important cause.
Thank you very much.
We have actually, we will put in the chat now the link to our Prime website, because we had a slide about it, but I think it has disappeared somehow magically, kind of. So please do visit our website as well. We have a lot of material. Some other we haven't talked about. For example, we have created a song around climate change as an action song, kind of, which is on the website. So please do visit our website as well, and you can sign up as a member there, as Alex already mentioned, and also you can sign up for our member resources, because we have an area there where you can actually get the member resource, which is, for example, the slides from the training and so on. So please do visit us on our website and sign up if you want to become a member in our group, which obviously we very much hope you would like to do this after we have introduced everything to you. And now we are really pleased to take all your questions, and yeah, we'll see what you, please do put all your questions now in the chat, and we will answer them and see that we have the remaining time. Or if you want to say something as well, please do kind of let us know what you would like to share with other people, or put it in the chat, and we will pick this up as well. So thanks very much first for this, for joining us, but please do stay around, because we really would like to engage with you now and talk to you about all your questions.
Thank you.